From the Israeli side, everybody speaks Hebrew?
On the Israeli side, yeah.
From the Israeli side, okay. So with the permission of our guests, I will say 2 minutes. I'll say something in Hebrew, and then we'll switch back to English. Just it will go faster, don't take your time. אז שלום לכולם, אחר צהריים טובים, שמי גלית פלג, אני שגרירה של ישראל באלבניה. איתי הזכיר פה שאנחנו עשינו בשבוע שעבר, איתנו פה משלחת עסקית גדולה, ואנחנו רוצים לחזור על הצלחות ולשפר אותם כמובן. ואני אגיד 2 מילים רק על העניין של אנרגיה באלבניה, ואני שמחה שכולכם הצטרפתם אלינו. אלבניה היא מדינה קטנה יחסית, גם בגודל וגם באוכלוסייה. מבחינת משאבי טבע, יש לה פוטנציאל אדיר מבחינת אנרגיה, יש לה כ-300 ימי שמש בשנה, יש בה הרבה מאוד מים, יש מקומות גבוהים, רוחות, יש ים, כל הדברים לכאורה שהטבע נותן לאנרגיה, היא התברכה בהם. דבר נוסף, כמה שהיא עדיין בשלבי התפתחות, אני הייתי אומר, מדינה שהיא מתפתחת, היא נושא של מודעות לאנרגיה חלופית ואנרגיה ירוקה היא גבוהה מאוד. כל ראשי הערים שנפגשתי איתם במגמה כזו, גם בחוות הכי נידחות, אתם מוצאים לפעמים מסיבות מאוד פרוזאיות, פלטות סולריות על הגג של הרפת או של החממה, שמשמש את החווה, כך שאני חושבת שחברות שעוסקות בכל מיני סוגים של אנרגיה, בעיקר בנושא של אנרגיה ירוקה, מה שקוראים היום, אתם תפגשו פה צימאון גדול ושותפים, ובכלל אלבניה כיום נמצאת בשלב שהיא באמת יש בו התפתחות מאוד מאוד מואצת בכל נושאים של תשתיות, והיא מועמדת להצטרף לאיחוד האירופי לקראת 2030. אני חושבת שהזדמנויות היום זה הזמן, כי בעוד 7 ו8 ו10 שנים הכל יהיה הרבה יותר יקר, הכל יהיה הרבה יותר צפוף פה, ולכן אנשים שכבר עובדים פה יכולים לאשש את הדברים, אבל זו הסיבה שאנחנו בשגרירות, אנחנו וביחד עם עמוס להזכיר שפגש אותנו פה ויזמנו את הסיפור הזה, כי אנחנו חושבים שבאמת זה זמן טוב לבוא לפה, לראות מה אפשר לעשות פה, גם פרויקטים, גם עסקים וגם שותפויות. And now we switch to English. I'm very happy for this opportunity because the idea was to gather Israeli companies and bring them to Albania, but first we would like to open your appetite and also to talk to you a little bit about the potential. And we approached some of our speakers that were kind enough to speak right after I will finish this presentation, and they are coming both from the academic point of view and also from the local and the governmental authorities that are dealing with energy. So we're trying to give you the picture of energy in Albania today from different angles. We invite you after this Zoom to send questions to the address that we will give you of our economic advisor. If you have more questions, since we won't be able to deal with everything during this short hour, and we will forward it to our experts, and they will be they can answer you. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our economic advisor. I don't see him, Clyde, there, see you.
Okay.
And he will be the moderator of this Zoom, and enjoy everybody. And I hope it will be just the beginning of a very successful potential event. Thank you.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. As Ambassador said, my name is Clyde, and I am the economic advisor in the Embassy of Israel in Albania. We have organized this webinar so you can get a glimpse of where Albania stands with energy currently, what are the potentials and what are the needs if it comes to investment from the Israeli side. We have chosen 4 experts, 3 of them coming from the governmental sector, and 1 of them from the academic sector, as we can also give a general opportunity not only to companies and governmental authorities from Israel, but also to the academia, so we can further create also interinstitutional cooperation between universities to provide and boost research for the topic of energy in general and renewable energy in specific. Without further ado, I would like to start with one of our speakers, who is Ms. Teutathimio. She is an engineer from the National Agency of Natural Resources. It's a governmental authority in Albania that deals with the natural resources that provide energy distribution. Mrs. Thimio, I think that she will also be joined in this webinar with one of her colleagues for further assistance. Mrs. Thimio, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. We have the short presentation for potential of renewable energy in Albania.
Yes, can you please share the screen with us?
Yes.
To clarify for the listeners and for the audience,
Okay.
we'll focus on wind, water, hydro, and solar energy. This is her specialty and her scope of expertise. Okay, I can see that the screen shared.
Yeah. It's okay.
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 Can we start?
Yes, you can.
You listen to me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We are presenting the energy policy, and now for the Albania case, we are saying that Albania is involved in the purchase of creating a supportive domestic energy market, ensuring energy security, energy efficiency, environmental protection, which are described and presented through many planned measures and investment identified in different policy documents. The National Strategy of Energy, Second and Third Action Plan of Energy Efficiency, Renewable Energy Action Plan, National Plan for Climate Change, and the Strategy of Transport have defined objectives and targets on increasing the security of supply by investments in the power sector. About the renewable energy source policy, we can say that the Albanian government has considered the promotion of renewable energy use as an important tool of energy policies for the increase of the security for energy supply, economic development, energy sector sustainability, and environment protection. The share of renewable energy source in the overall energy of Albania determined by hydropower and firewood. Recently, Albanian government has been focused on the diversification of its supply with energy and the promotion of the other renewable energy resources such as solar energy and wind energy. Let's go on about new law on the promotion of the use of energy from renewable resources. The purpose of the new law is to promote the increase in the use of energy from renewable sources to ensure sustainable development in Albania and comply with the obligations under the Energy Community Treaty. The new law is according to the Directive 2018-2001 of 11 December 2018 on the promotion of the use of energy from renewable sources. It introduces a national objective by providing that Albania will manage to produce an amount of energy from its renewable sources that will fulfill 54% of its gross final consumption of energy needs by the year 2030. And then the renewables law removes the support schemes in the form of administratively set feed-in tariffs for small renewable generation units up to megawatt, aeolic plants up to 3 megawatt. Support to priority producers shall be granted through competitive purchase, market-based support scheme. The support for the generation of electricity from renewable resources may take the form of power purchase agreement, a contract for difference, or a contract for premium. The ministry may decide that the competitive purchase is technology neutral or technology specific based on the longer term potential of a particular technology, the need to achieve diversification of resources. The new law introduces the renewable energy operator, a joint stock company, which will be owned 100% by the Ministry of Infrastructure and Energy. A renewable energy operator will serve as the contracting party of priority producers qualified. Yes.
Yes, please continue. It's okay.
Okay. No, it's fine. Problem technique. We can continue.
Okay. For support in accordance with this law through a support contract or supported through the incentive tariff system through energy purchase agreement. And now about hydro development. As you know, Albania has a considerable hydropower potential where only 35% of it is utilized. Albania depends almost exclusively on hydropower for its electricity generation. 97% of its electricity generation comes from hydropower. Very high dependency on climate. 2016, one of the best years for hydro production, net exporter, and 2017, one of the worst years, and hydro capacity only covered the losses in transmission. In January 2022, result as a total of 183 subjects of 244 hydropower plants with total installed capacity about 2,000 megawatt and production approximately 7,000 megawatt hour. The total electricity production capacity of the public company, cash, is 1,448 megawatt, about 55.4% of the total capacity installed in our country. And the total installed capacity of the other electricity producers is 1,166 megawatt and accounts approximately 44.6% of the total capacity installed in our country. And about investments in the renewable energy sources strategy. Albania is a net importer of electricity and ensuring the security of its power supply is a challenge. Thus, Albania started to plan adequate measures to increase investments in renewable energy projects other than hydropower. For the years 2019-2020, the Consolidated Renewable Energy Action Plan foresees the expansion of installed electric generators based on renewable resources by 738 megawatt as follows: 57 megawatt of hydropower energy, 490 megawatt of photovoltaic energy, 150 megawatt of wind energy, and 41 megawatt of waste to energy. In 2020, we have 24 megawatt of installed photovoltaic plants and no wind power plants, so we need further investments to achieve the objectives for the renewable energy sources in Albania. And about wind potential. Generally, low wind speeds in some areas, the annual average wind speed is within the limits of 4 to 6 meter per second, high 10 meter, with an average annual energy density of 150. This potential is estimated to be low, but it can be improved by attempting heights above 50 meters, where the speed reaches values about 6 to 8 meters per second, with an energy density of 250 to 600. And 5 plants have received final authorization from Ministry of Construction and are in phase of potential measurements. And 7 plants have received prior authorization from Ministry of Energy for construction, and they are in the phase of potential measurements. To date, no plants has been built yet. And about wind potential, wind auction 100 megawatt, the minimum capacity of 10 megawatt, and the maximum capacity of 75 megawatt. Through this competitive purchase, Ministry of Industry and Energy selects projects with a total capacity of 100 megawatt. And about solar potential in Albania. In our country, the number of sunny days varies from an average of 240 to 260 days a year to a maximum of 280 to 300 days a year in the southeast part. In Albania, average solar radiation is 1,500 kilowatt hour per square meter per year, and maximal radiation is 2,200 kilowatt hour per square meter per year. Actually, Albania has 12 photovoltaic plants that produce the electricity from solar energy. Their total installed capacity is 24 megawatt, and the total production is 5,092 megawatt hour. And this means in the year 2022. And about photovoltaic plants. All permits for the construction of photovoltaic and wind plants are given by Ministry of Industry and Energy, which is the contracting authority. And our institution, AKBN, is an agency under Ministry of Industry and Energy. Its task is to monitor the contracts for the construction of photovoltaic and wind plants. After the completion of their construction, AKBN collects data on their energy production and prepares the national energy balance. Currently, AKBN is monitoring 34 power photovoltaic contracts, 12 of which are in production and 22 are in construction. And current support scheme for solar and wind. The scheme will have the following basic principles: a yearly netting, zero surplus energy at the end of the year. The ministry and regulatory entity will approve a price of per case for electricity injected to the grid. At the start, it will probably be the same as the retail price in order to have a fast uptake and a deployment. The maximum allowed installed capacity is 500 kilowatt. The distribution system operator has expressed concerns for the technical implications of balancing the grid. So this is our presentation, and thank you very much that you're hearing us.
Thank you very much,
Let's
ladies.
continue to hear all.
Something just a minor thank you, ladies. Just a minor clarification for Mr. Lasker and all the audience. Due to the limited time that we have for this short webinar, as Ambassador said in the very beginning, I'm noting down all of the questions that are being asked and also noting down all of the email addresses. By the end of the webinar, you will have all PowerPoints sent to your email, and every question you will forward it to my official email account, and I will send you answers and reports if needed as soon as possible. So I really hope to have your understanding on this part. Next up, I would like to leave the floor to Mr. Elio Vostina. He is a director of the operational system at the Transmission System Operator, another governmental authority which deals with energy transmission. Mr. Vostina, can you hear me? Okay, I think Mr. Vostina is not with us anymore, but I will reach out to him. Then I would like to leave the floor to Mr. Altin Marco. Mr. Altin Marco is the technical director at the Agency of Energy Efficiency. once again another governmental structure. I would like to leave the floor to him so he can talk to us more about the energy efficiency in buildings, its use, and also another topic, which is e-mobility. Mr. Marco, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello,
Okay.
everyone. My name is Marco. I'm an architect, and I present the Agency of Energy Efficiency in Albania. I'm at the position of the technical director here at the agency. So
I think Teuta needs to stop sharing screen, please.
yes.
Okay. I think, can you try sharing yours, maybe?
I'm trying to find, but maybe you could share from your side, because
Then, if Daniel can help us with this, please.
yes.
Yeah, which one is this?
Is the one which is labeled Altin, ALTN. Thank you very much.
Okay, 1 minute. Altin. Okay.
Okay, it's this one. Okay,
Okay. Great.
so I'll present a short, have a short presentation of the Agency of Energy Efficiency in Albania. There is a small history regarding the agency, because it was founded on 2018, and it's a new agency. It has begun with a very short group, let's say, of engineers here, and during those years, those 4 or 5 years, we have worked with the beginning with this legislation, and after the years 21, we work also with the implementation of some pilot project regarding to the energy efficiency in building, public building, private building, charging station, etc. This is the presentation of institutional structure and administrative capacity. Our agency, Albanian Agency of Energy Efficiency, prepared, implement, and monitor policies and programs for the efficient use of energy in the residential sector of service, industry, transport, and agriculture. These are the 4 fields of our activity. And we prepare the National Energy Efficiency Action Plan and monitor the implementation and achievement of National Energy Efficiency Target, reporting on National Energy Action Plan to the responsible Minister of Energy and Energy Community Secretariat. We cooperate with the central and local authorities, companies operating in industrial facilities, and various non-profit organizations to establish and update the necessary energy database, including the calculation of energy efficiency indicators and the implementation of energy efficiency measures. Our responsibilities are to prepare technical standards, norm, and regulation to increase the energy efficiency of equipment, apparatus, machinery used in the production, transport, distribution, and consumption of energy in the residential, industrial, transport, and agricultural sector. We evaluate energy efficiency investment projects, coordinate energy efficiency programs found by international institutions or organizations based on government agreement, advise local public administration authorities, public buildings, and residential buildings administrator on preparation and implementation of energy efficiency projects, supervise and verify if it deems necessary of regulatory and identify the accuracy of data of reports produced by energy auditors. Let's say one of the fields of activity was energy performance in building in Albania. Energy efficiency in the building sector started with the approval of the law on energy efficiency and the law of energy performance of buildings. The implementation began after the approval of the secondary legislation and the certification of energy auditors by our agency. Until now, there are 100 certified energy auditors. The next steps from the 2021, when it was developed the calculation software that generates energy performance certificate for every building that needs for a new building or reconstruction building. Agency has led different training sessions for the energy auditors, mainly on the use of the calculation software, the different equipment used for the energy audit, and the legislation on energy efficiency. Regarding the calculation methodology and software, with the assistance of TFW, our agency has adopted a new software in concurrence with the EU European requirements to do the calculation of the building energy performance, and will generate the energy performance certificate. From 2021, all the new buildings built in Albania and the one being renovated should comply with the minimum requirement according to our methodology. Minimum requirement for energy performance of new building and existing building subject of renovation. In order to apply for the construction permit, all the new buildings are renovated must be equipped with an energy audit led by certified energy auditors. The energy audit in the case of new building conduct 2 energy audits as designed, where it is compulsory that the building fulfills the minimum requirement regarding to the building envelope, heating and cooling, ventilation, and light. And the second way is when the building is built, when the energy auditor check if the building is compliant with this requirement. The main strategic document regarding the energy efficiency in Albania is the National Energy and Climate Plan. The National Energy and Climate Plan was approved on December 2021. According to this plan, the energy efficiency target for 2023 is to arrive to the target 8.4%. Final energy consumption, according to the forecast for 2030 for housing, is 384 kiloton equivalent. According to the National Energy Climate Plan, what Albania needs to achieve is the comprehensive legal framework, mandatory energy efficiency scans and alternative policy measures, long-term renovation strategy and drive cost-effective radical renewal, adoption of energy performance contracts and other energy efficiency service models, the exemplary role of public buildings and public procurement with a focus on energy efficiency, improving energy audits and energy management system, information for consumer and measures related to training, energy efficiency in transport, implementation and reforms. All new and renovated buildings should comply with the minimum requirement for energy performance and investment project in different sectors to improve energy efficiency. What we have in our program in our future is transposing the legislation primary and secondary, capacity buildings in training and new projects and investment. I'll give my opinion for cooperation and investment opportunities, which are some fields that do with the renovation of public and private buildings through energy system companies, ESCO, or other investment, renovation of public light system on national roads in urban areas in different cities, and investment on charging stations for electrical vehicles through all the territory of the country. These are some topics and some suggestions that I had on my mind. Maybe there are other options and other things to have. And everyone, if there is some question, okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marco. Thank you very much for your presentation and for your time. I have noted down all of the questions that were written during your presentation, and I will forward them to you so we can have the answers and send them back to our interested companies or people that want to know more about what the AEE does or specific topics within it. Now I would like to go back to Mr. Elio Vostina. Is Mr. Vostina with us?
Hello, Claudia. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear now, Elio. Thank you very much. Once again, Mr. Vostina is the Director of Operational System at the Transmission System Operator, another governmental authority which deals with energy transmission. We would be happy to listen to your presentation now. I think you are screen sharing.
Yes. Can you see my presentation now?
I can see your presentation. I would just like for Altin to stop sharing his screen, please. Mr. Marco?
Yeah, that's it. We see
Yes,
it.
now we can see the presentation.
Oh, great, thank you. Elio, we can continue.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you first for the invitation to hold this presentation. I work in the transmission operator, OST, so I will be presenting a company profile and the main business activity of OST. OST is a public transmission company in Albania. According to the law, it is the only transmission operator within Albania. It is a joint stock company, 100% state-owned. The main duties of the transmission company is the supply of the distribution company and consumers directly connected to the transmission grid. Of course, transmission of electricity generated by power plant, exchange of electricity with neighboring countries, since we are connected with 3 neighboring countries, with Montenegro, Kosovo, and Greece. Land maintenance, development of the transmission network, and market operator function. I think it was touched upon on the presentation of Mrs. Teuta regarding the country adequacy. So we are the generation park in Albania. It is mostly formed of hydropower plants. So this makes the adequacy of the country very difficult. So the ability to meet the demand in throughout the years, because our generation can range from 3 terawatt in a dry year to 8.5 terawatt in a highly wet year when there is high inflows in the rivers. In the graph, you can see also the evolution of the installed capacity. Although the installed capacity has been growing at a good rate, I would say. But again, the dependency from hydro inflows makes the system very vulnerable to the meteorological conditions. In the map on the right, you can see this is like the NSOE map. You can see that the transmission system of Albania. The system has a longitudinal profile, so we can notice that most of the generation sources are connected in the north, where there is the most part of the rivers, and the load is located in the center, the biggest load near the capital and the major cities, and some part in the south. In the past 10 to 15 years, there has been a high development of also the small hydro runoff river, which somehow has improved the ability of the country to meet the demand. Here you can see a conceptual diagram of the system. We can notice that the transmission system of OST uses 3 voltage level. So 400 kV voltage level with the red lines, 220, 110. While the blue lines is showing some interface with distribution company. The interface also with distribution company is on the 110 kV side of the substations. Here you can see in the graph the evolution of the adequacy that I mentioned before. So our ability to meet the country consumption through our own production, and in most of the years, the green part in the top of the graph is showing the values of the import that were needed in order to meet the consumption. There are some years where we were able, the country, so the generation was able, it was made able to have some exports, but this is not a common condition throughout the years. Here there are some more graphs again where you can notice the difference in the consumption through years 2022 and 2023 up to August. I'm not going to stop on the figures. You can see them and ask questions later by mail or okay, another function which is very important for the transmission operator is the development of the network. The development of the network, of course, is needed in terms of security, flexibility, which are the most important objectives when operating the transmission system. Then the development is very important also for maintaining a good supply. When I say supply, good power quality, good voltage level, very few faults, etc. Then we have the challenge, which I would say we see it all over the world, in many different transmission operators, the integration of RES, of PV and wind, which is highly concerning for the especially for transmission operators, which because they can cause certain instability in the system due to their non-conventional behavior in the system and to the way that they are operating, being intermediate generation sources. Returning to the development, the main projects which we in the transmission operator are focused for the next years is to expand our interconnections, to have a new interconnection with North Macedonia. In fact, North Macedonia is one of the neighboring countries with which we do not have an electrical connection, and this will be a 400 kV line. It is already contracted as a project. Again, there will be another 400 kV from Elbasan to Fier and some reinforcement in the region near the capital, Tirana. In the medium and long-term plans, OST, in collaboration with the transmission operator of Greece, plans to have another 400 kV interconnection. And the expansion of this new interconnection in the substation of Fier, because the region near Fier is a region of high interest for connecting new PV sources. So building this new interconnection in the long term will help to evacuate to all the flow from the new PV sources that will be connected to that region. Then there is another project for expansion and reconstruction of 220 kV lines with Montenegro and in Valdea substation. Then you can see in the table the planned evolution of the generation sources connected to the transmission and distribution network. As you can see, up to now, most of the generation in the transmission network is of hydro, while in the distribution network, we can see that the first solar plants have already started to generate. The plans are very ambitious. If we see at the first figure to have in 10 years around 4,600 megawatt installed capacity, which it's a huge value for the transmission system, but which of course will need a lot of investments in the network to cope with this high RES integration. The major areas of interest for developing the new RES, so the PV and the wind, we can see with the yellow circles in the western part of Albania, where there is the major interest for developing these PV sources, the region I mentioned before, in Fier region. And there are also some regions, the blue circles represent the location when there is some interest for having wind generation sources. I mentioned before having new interconnections. The interconnections are very important for the transmission system, as they ensure that even in the worst scenarios, the country supply with electricity. So we can ensure that we can have a secure supply of electricity for the country. And one of the indicators we use is the net transfer capacity, which up to now is in the value of 1,100 megawatt, where you can see the values with each country. And then there are the plans how this there will be an evolution of these values after implementation of each project until achieving the value 2,500 megawatt. Some information regarding the market development. There are different markets for electricity. One of the markets which is very important for the transmission operator is the balancing market, which is the near real-time market, the balancing market. For that, there are, to ensure the well-functioning of this market, OST since 3 or 4 years achieved in 2021 to launch the balancing market, which is in line with NSOE guidelines for balancing. Then in April 2023, OST successfully launched the Albanian Power Exchange, which is like a daughter company of OST, with majority shareholder being OST, and the other part of the shares are held by the transmission operator in Kosovo. I need to mention that we have a very close cooperation with Kosovo, because we are also operating the system within a control block. So there is one control block, Albania, Kosovo, with 2 control areas. One is the control area of Albania, and the other is the control area of Kosovo. This way we operate the system is a way of optimizing the use of balancing energy, since in Kosovo there is no balancing energy, while in Albania they're having a lot of hydro, which is the ideal source for balancing energy. We can help the system of Kosovo with balancing energy, which is the part, as I mentioned here, so the energy near to real-time operation. The plans are to have by the end of this month also a coupling of the market. So Alpex will be having with its algorithm will be performing calculation for the price for the day ahead of electricity for the area of Albania and Kosovo. Okay, if you have any question, you can write them for.
Thank you very much, Elio, for Postina. And we are now down to our last speaker, who is Dr. Claudian Zaimi. Is Dr. Zaimi with us, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you very clear, Dr. Zaimi. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much for taking your time and being here. Just a very small introduction. Dr. Claudian Zaimi It comes from the Hydrology Department and the Institute of Geosciences in the Polytechnic University of Tirana. And different from the three previous speakers that presented to us the government inclusion and involvement of energy, he will be presenting energy in the academic sector.
Thank you very much, Vladimir. So you explained very well. So my institute is also the Hydrometeorological National Service of Albania. So we are dealing with monitoring all the meteorological and hydrological parameters in the country. And I am focused now in the part of hydrology, but also, let's say, all what we are doing is not, let's say, only research and science, but also application, because our data and information are needed for all the economic sector, especially for the renewable energy, also for the solar or wind, mostly for the hydro. Because as you know, we are dependent so much from the hydro part, because our country from the beginning, it was based only in the hydro production. I'm just sharing something. I don't know if you can see something here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see. Yes, we can see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
So what I'm sharing here, I'm sharing the different catchment of Albania. Half of the hydrographical catchment of our rivers is outside the country. We are having like the double of the surface, so the water come into Albania. We are using a part of this water to produce energy. My department is focused mostly in the monitoring of these parameters. So we have a monitoring network, a hydrometeorological network, and but we are monitoring only inside the country with a special, let's say, agreement. We exchange information even with other countries that we receive this flow. A part of this, let's say, monitoring that we are doing is even an automatic way, but mostly even from the tradition, we have a network dependent from the manual measurements. These data are crucial, you know, for all the sector, especially for the hydro sector. And because, let's say, we are operating in the country for more than 60 years, and these data have been crucial for all the projects of the hydropower of the country. Now, recently, let's say that the network is reduced due to the financial capability of our department, but we like to have also all this monitoring in a higher, let's say, capability to respond to the request of the country. This is because the energy and the water is our economy. Basically, our GDP is so much, let's say, dependent from the hydro, and the monitoring of all the water resources is crucial for our country. Now we are focused on evaluation of all the water resources, and some of these water resources have already, let's say, been used for the hydropower, but a part of them is still under evaluation. And to continue this kind of monitoring and the research and doing studies about all the parameters of the water resources that we have it in the country, it will be very needed in the future. Just to say something, that one of the biggest, let's say, project that we have it still, let's say, in implementation is the Skavica one that will increase, let's say, drastically, and will change the efficiency of the production of the energy in the country. But also some of other rivers also have capability to still produce and to invest in the hydro sector. In the part of the existing situation, we are doing all the evaluation, let's say, with our present capability to represent the situation. But we have, let's say, some problematic that have to do with the climate change. As we know, like all other countries that are affected, but let's say our hydro part and hydro energy part will be most impacted. I'm, let's say, saying this because from our evaluation, we see that the climate have changed in some parts, for example, changing the type of precipitation from snow to other type, or from, let's say, different parameterization of the season that now will influence drastic, let's say, the energy in the let's say future. For sure that this kind of evaluation needs to be monitored and need to be studied in the way that the country to respond in the best way to the future changes. And in this way, we'll have, let's say, the best way how to respond or how to develop our future project in the water resources. And for sure, we are, let's say, helping, let's say, our economy, even in other, let's say, type of information that not let's say, are, let's say, directly connected with energy, but are related to the extreme. The drought and the floods are our main focus that also impact the energy. This is in the long term, but also even in the short term. We are dealing here and we are researching with the flow and meteorological forecasting. What have to do this with the energy? Still, we are in the country, we haven't implemented, let's say, the short or the medium forecast of the, let's say, these parameters, and to translate this in the forecasting, the energy production or the energy demand. This is, for example, some type of activity that I see that will be necessary in the near future. And let's say we as a researcher and the part that we are monitoring the country with this type of evaluations, we can do as much as possible, but we will need also collaboration with, let's say, other, let's say, universities or companies that deal, let's say, with this kind of fields that are new for us. Thank you very much. This is all that I was going to say.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zaimi. Very clear, very concise. We have come to an end of our 4 speakers. If Mr. Lasker is here with us, Ambassador.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, thank you all. Well, I skip all the greetings. I think that it was very interesting, certainly for all of us who are not familiar with the energy market in Albania. I see here the amount of messages in the chat, so it seems to me that there is a big interest. And I see this webinar as the first step towards having Israeli companies, whether startups, whether mature companies, trying to do business with Albania. And thank you. I don't know if I pronounce your name correctly.
Clyde.
How?
It's Clyde. It's Clyde. It's
Clyde. Okay. So
Clyde.
Thank you for the arranging this webinar, and I hope to meet all of you again in the next one. Thank you.
Clarify once again, Mr. Lasker, before we quit the Zoom. I have noted down all of the questions. I have taken screenshots of them. I have all of the email accounts of the people who are interested in the PowerPoints. We will send everything. I will coordinate with Daniel. Everybody will receive PowerPoints. And I also have written down my email account. So for any question, I'm available. And everybody will get the responses that they want to get within this week.
Great.
אם אפשר מילה, הרעיון של הוובינר נולד, חשבנו לעשות, באמת לרכז איזושהי קבוצה של חברות מהתחום, להביא אותם לפה במרכז, לאלבניה, ולארגן לכם פגישות B2B, כמו שאנחנו עושים בתחומים אחרים. אז תחשבו לכיוון הזה, אנחנו חושבים על תחילת 2024. כמובן שאתם תקבלו קודם כל את כל החומרים מקלייד, ואם יש לכם שאלות נוספות, אתם לא צריכים להתעכב. אם אתם רוצים לבוא מחר, אנחנו נעזור לכם גם מחר.
איפה אפשר להירשם לזה, גלית?
חכה, אנחנו קודם כל רוצים לראות, באמת, רצינו לראות שיש היענות, ומר לסקר עזר לנו מאוד גם עם הקשר. ברגע שאנחנו רואים עכשיו שיש היענות, אנחנו נקבע תאריך, ואנחנו נפרסם לקראת זה, ואנחנו נעשה את זה בצורה מסודרת. אנחנו נבנה לכם פה תוכנית, אנחנו נעשה לכם מאצ'ינג לפי הפרופילים של החברות שלכם, בשיתוף כמו שעשינו עכשיו עם לשכות מסחר מקומיות, ונעשה את זה בצורה מסודרת. אז בואו נעבור את החגים הראשונים בשלום, ואנחנו גם, אני מניחה שבמהלך השבוע תקבלו את כל התשובות, ואחרי, בוא נגיד שלקראת, אחרי סוכות, נתחיל להתכנס למשהו יותר פרגמטי ויותר מעשי. שתהיה לכם שנה טובה.
שנה טובה.
ומשגשגת.
תודה רבה, שנה טובה לכולם.
תודה, שנה טובה. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. Faleminderit zoti Altin Marko, faleminderit zoti Elio Vostina dhe faleminderit zonjës Tota Thimjo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What do you say?
Bye.
I just thank the speakers from the Albanian part.
And thank you, Clyde, for a good job.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Clyde. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.